All right, welcome everyone. My name is Coach David. Today we're going to be talking about dollars and decisions. What is the right choice, right? I know that I always try to separate out, right? Because I'm also one of the head coaches in our coaching program. I try to separate out like the coaching things, right? The college coaching things and the financial aid, but there's going to be a little bit of a mix between the two this time, right? The reason why there is a mix is because I think that it's impossible to talk about one and not talk about the other. Okay. But it is August 13th, right? It is a nice sunny Wednesday, right? Thanks for taking a little time to spend with me here at 5 o'clock, right? If you guys can go ahead and put your students' grade in the chat, that would help me out as well, right? But we're going to get straight into it, okay? So let's start talking, right? What we're going to be covering today, right? We're going to try to understand how to understand the different offers. We're also going to be thinking about what should you be thinking about as a family when you're deciding on which college, right? And what are the most important pieces that I find when it comes to choosing the college that is right for you, okay? Now, for those of you guys that don't know, we are now egelloC Financial Aid, right? All part of the same organization. Okay. Just a little bit about me. My name is Coach David. I'm a former law school and admissions reader, right? And I used to be a lawyer, right? But now I'm working in college admissions and in financial aid. Okay. And I'm ready to save your family money. All right. So just like I do every other week, I'm going to start with some financial aid news, right? And there's some more exciting news this week, and it's like kind of like good for us too. So I'm happy to bring it to your attention, right? Now, I have a cough drop in my mouth because I've had like 20 consultations over the past 3 days, right? So please forgive me if my voice doesn't sound as good right now, okay? But let's go ahead and talk about kind of financial aid news, right? The first thing that I want to talk about is that there is another lawsuit coming out, okay? So 32 colleges have been named in a class action lawsuit that alleges that the colleges have used the early decision to basically reduce financial aid awards and packages for students and families, okay? For a long time, there have been a lot of kind of colleges that have been under scrutiny for their early decision practices, right? And one of the questions that I get very often is, well, if I apply early decision, am I giving up on financial aid? Because again, that's what it seems like. And now we finally have a lawsuit that says basically that's what they've been doing. Okay. The crux of the argument that this class action is alleging is that early decision locks students into a financial situation that does not allow them to compare financial awards at other schools, because early decision, you can only apply to one and you have to make a decision usually within 72 hours, right? But here's where I think there's going to be a little bit of a issue, right? Colleges have been doing early decision for a long time, right? The question becomes, we knew this 30 years ago. Why is it just coming up now? I think a lot of the judges might have also gone to school under early decision too. So they might be like, what's going on here, right? So, right, these are the colleges that have been named so far. I'm not going to read them all out, but there might be a college that is on your list, that is on this list that of colleges that have been kind of named so far, right? Do I think that these are going to be the only schools that are named? No, there's going to be way more, right? As kind of the lawsuit goes on, antitrust and kind of like class action lawsuits, they take years, right? But these are just some of them that are on there. Okay. Now, what will happen? I'm not sure, because like one of the things that I said a little earlier is like, well, this is a practice that has been happening forever, right? So, well, is it just kind of tradition, right? Is it something that like that the colleges have really cooked up, right? We'll have to see how the judges kind of figure this one out, right? But any news that comes out, I'm going to try to be on top of it as much as possible so that I can bring you the latest and greatest in what is happening in the world of financial aid. Okay. But one more thing before we get into training, right? I do want to make sure that I reach out like for basically close to the last time for any students that are in class of 2026. Now, as part of egelloC, one of the things that we do during the summer is that we've had our college application intensives, right? Our Kickstart, our Accelerator, those are sold out, right? We have literally no space. I don't care if you want to pay triple or quadruple, we just don't have space anymore, right? But we do have other programs that can help you until basically the end of the application season, right? So we have these kind of different programs: Essay Essentials, Application Advantage, and Submit Strong, right? So if your student is a class of 2026 and they haven't started on their application, they haven't started on their essays, they're just kind of waiting around until school starts, well, you might want to talk to our team about one of these programs, because I do think that they can help your student get a head start, make sure that they're getting to the finish line on time. Okay, so I'll have another kind of like a slide at the end that will tell you how to reach out to our family or to our team so that we can talk to you about the different options that we have. Okay, but today we are talking about financial aid packages and the decisions that we are make as a family, as a student. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is the different packages and the different prices. Okay. Now, I understand that the prices that I'm giving here are general prices. Okay. On average, right? There's different prices online, but I took out like a lot of the things that people don't usually get, like the school health insurance, this part, that part. And then I came up with the like rough numbers. CSUs are around $30,000 a year. UCs around 45,000. Private schools around $90,000 a year. Okay, so roughly speaking, these are the general prices on average for the different types of schools that you're going to. Now, the one type of school that I did not include into this calculation are actually out-of-state private schools. Okay. The reason why I did not include anything here is because, well, out-of-state private schools, I usually can't do anything for any family because the reason why you're not getting aid from, if you're a California resident, the reason why you're not getting aid from University of Washington is because you are not a resident of that state. Okay. So it's something very important for you to understand. I understand your kid might want to go there. I understand that your kid's applying to University of Michigan, right? But unfortunately, I cannot change the fact that you are not a resident of Michigan or Washington. Okay. Now, if you are a resident of Michigan or Washington and you're trying to send your kid to UCLA, the same thing applies, right? Now, every state school is different in how they kind of calculate things, but for an out-of-state student to come to the UCs, right, it costs $75,000 a year, right? You're paying triple tuition, right? Which is roughly speaking about $50,000 plus you're paying for living expenses. Okay. That's what it equates to. Now, really, it's probably about 71, 72. Okay. There's a little bit of money that comes off, but generally speaking, these are the prices. Okay. Now, we are going to create a hypothetical, right? Now, the hypothetical that I'm creating, well, this is actually a student that got in, and these are the awards that they got. Okay. So these are the results that I was able to do for this family, right? Later, I'm going to ask our panel to be a little bit interactive, right? I think it worked really well last week. So later, after I show you all the results, kind of in different things, I'm going to ask you to tell me how much you think this family makes a year. Okay. And then I'll let you guys know if it is right or wrong. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So the schools that this student got into are San Diego, right? UC San Diego, Pepperdine, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and University of San Diego, right? Now, let's go through each of these and let's talk them through, okay? At UC San Diego, the total cost of going for the year, kind of like I took out things, right? Is roughly around $40,000 a year, right? The award that they got was about 6K in a middle class grant, a 5K university grant. So the total cost to go to this school, University of California, San Diego, is about $28,585 a year. That is what you're paying out of pocket. Okay. At Pepperdine, the total cost of going to Pepperdine for 1 year is $96,592. Okay. I was able to get them a California grant, right? I was able to get them a Pepperdine grant. There was also a community scholarship that we helped them apply to. And so that brought the total cost of this school, Pepperdine, from $96,000 to $45,000, more than a 50% discount. Okay. Cal Poly, Cal Poly is one of the more expensive state schools, right? CSUs, right? They are about $34,000, right? At this school, there was zero California grants, zero in other scholarships or merit, okay? So the total cost of going to this school is $34,086, okay? The sticker price, right? And then we had University of San Diego, okay? The total cost to go to University of San Diego is $82,710. We were able to get them a California grant, the USD grant. We were also able to get them gift aid, and then there was a departmental aid that we were also able to get, right? So the total cost to go to University of San Diego is $23,710. Okay. All right. Now, I want to take a look from both perspectives, though, right? So, from what students see, from what parents see, what students think about, what parents think about. So, here is what I think students see when they see that they got into these four schools. This is what they see. They see the palm trees. They see the hills, they see the beach, they see the pretty campus, they see the weird oblong shaped library that they're going to be studying at. This is what the students see, right? The reason I kind of bring this up is that a lot of students are overwhelmed with the options and the palm trees. Okay. A lot of students, when they have choices, they don't necessarily make the right choice for themselves. A lot of times there's a lot of societal pressure that comes with it. They go where their friends are going, or maybe they have an older friend that went to a certain school and has said great things, right? They let other people influence their decisions instead of making their own, right? But more than kind of like being emotional about these decisions or letting other people sway you, you need to make sure that your student is staying objective about the reasons why they want to go. Now, I am not saying that the palm trees and the beach, right, are not reasons to go to a certain school, right? Fit is something that you do want to take into consideration, but you also need to make sure that the real tangibles, the education that you're getting, the opportunities that you have also match and are part of that equation. Okay. Now, this is what parents see, right? From a parent side, they just go ahead and see the numbers, right? Because again, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, you guys are going to be the ones writing the check every single semester or quarter. Okay. Now, the aid that I was able to get for these families, it is just free money. It is not loans, right? So it's never anything that they need to pay back, right? But I want to put these in order for you so we can look at it a little bit more closely. The most expensive school is Pepperdine, okay? The second school is actually Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, right? The third is UC San Diego, and then the fourth is University of San Diego. University of San Diego is the cheapest, okay? So the range of like a out of pocket costs we have on a yearly basis is somewhere between 23,000 and $45,000 a year, right? You guys might be surprised to look at this list and be like, what's going on with this list? Because the state school is not the cheapest option here, right? Actually, University of San Diego is, okay? But let's kind of talk about the considerations you should be thinking about here, right? Again, this is my own opinion, okay? It is not endorsed by any college. It is not endorsed by anyone else. These are just my thoughts. Okay. Now, generally speaking, one of the things I say is no one is happy when they're overextended. Parents, think back to when you were a fresh college grad. You decided to move into that little bit better apartment, but every single month when you had to pay the rent, you were like, oh gosh, I have less money to spend on food. I have to eat peanut butter for the next week. That is being overextended, right? You will feel it as a parent, your student will feel about it, right? Everyone's going to be uncomfortable, right? So the one thing I say about kind of college is that parents, you have to talk to your students, okay, about college costs, what the family can reasonably afford, okay? Just telling your student that, oh, you know what, if you get into this school, we'll figure it out is not an answer, right? I've talked to a lot of families this past kind of like, well, realistically, like this past 5 days, because I was actually working on the weekend, meeting with some families that are accelerators, right? But a lot of families are like, yeah, well, if they get into that type of school, we'll figure something out. And I'm like, what are you going to figure out? Are you going to sell your house? Are you going to pull money from your retirement and then pay capital gains on it? Like, what are you going to do? Right? What are you like, the kind of like, we'll figure it out is not an action plan. Okay. So with your student, right? Your student's old enough to understand money, hopefully, right? If they're not, it's time for that education now, right? But one of the things I say is everyone needs to be comfortable, right? The student needs to feel at home, right? So financially and emotionally, the student needs to be comfortable, right? Sometimes that means a visit, sometimes that means multiple visits, but do it. Okay. Now, a lot of families ask, like, well, when should we do college visits, right? I don't think college visits really matter until you get in, right? Because until you get in, it's just dreams and hopes, right? So if you get into UC San Diego, right, and you're like, okay, you went once, you liked it, right? But then like you start to sway, right? Well, if you live close, well, it's not really an issue. Just go and visit again, right? If you live further away, let's say you live in Sacramento or the Bay Area, right? Well, it's better to kind of make that 8 hour drive or that 1.5 hour flight to go and figure it out for sure once and for all. But that's not what I'm saying for students that are still in the process. Once you're in, it's a different situation. Okay. So keep that in mind, right? And there's other takeaways here too, right? One of those takeaways is that you need to understand what your student is studying, right? Not just about general school rankings, right? If we're looking at general school rankings, I think there's a clear winner here, right? It's UC San Diego, right? It's the highest ranked school, right? But let's talk about business, right? Let's say your student wants to study business. So let's say we're trying to study business at Pepperdine and we're trying to study business at UC San Diego, right? We have an issue here. Here is the issue. Pepperdine has an undergraduate business degree. So you can go and study business, right? It's actually ranked in the top 100 in the United States, right? At UC San Diego, there is no business major for you. You cannot study business at UC San Diego, right? Now, I know there's a bunch of people and they're probably searching it up right now. No, UC San Diego does have a business school. I didn't say it didn't have a business school. I said it didn't have an undergraduate business major. Okay. They have business economics. It's close. Is it exactly business? No, right? For those of you out there, right, that have been with us a long time, you already know this. But for those that haven't been with us for as long, there's people that don't know this, but not every UC has a business major available. The only ones that currently have a business major available are Berkeley, Irvine, Davis, and Riverside. And Davis's business school is just going to open this fall, right? So before that, there was only three. Now there's four, right? In the future, who knows? Maybe all of them do. But at this current moment, not all of them do, right? So the question becomes, what is a better business school if you want to study business during your undergrad? It's Pepperdine. Okay, so keep that in mind. Not every school is created equal. Not every school has all the same majors. So when you're comparing colleges, you need to make sure that you are getting the same opportunity, right? Or that you're comparing the same situations, right? The comparison for business here, it's not even a comparison because one school doesn't have it, right? But again, your student might be like, you know what? I want to go to San Diego and I'll study economics. That's fine, right? If they can make that trade-off, then again, we have to think about what makes the most sense. Okay. All right. So general takeaways here, right? There is no right or wrong answer. Okay. And we're going to get to the interactive part in a little bit. So everyone have their keyboards ready, right? But financially, yes. But again, not really, right? Financially, right? If we're just talking about the dollar figure, the right choice is University of San Diego, right? But does it really make sense for your student, right? This is a discussion that your family needs to have, right? There are different things you have to think about. What is your student going to study, right? Are you looking for certain access to certain markets or research or internships, right? Is there a specific professor there that you have been studying for the last 7 years and that you really want to study under? There's a lot of different factors that can go into a college choice, right? I have students every year that give up on Ivy League schools to go somewhere else, right? I have students every year that get into Stanford and don't go, right? So not every school is the right fit for every student, right? But the reason why I say that financially, yes, University of San Diego is the right answer, but I also say that it's not the right answer is this, right? Thinking that we're gonna like live to 100, right? Because that's what, what doctors and the medical field is like aspiring to, right? I say this, right? So the gap between USD and the most expensive school, right, Pepperdine is basically 20 grand, right? And so 20 grand over kind of the next 80 years, right? I did the math, right? So 20K over 80 years, right? So I divided by 80 and I divided by 12 to see what it looks like on a monthly level, right? On a monthly level over the next 80 years, it's $20 a month, right? That's the difference. Now I understand. You're probably saying, yeah, but there's interest if I take a loan and this and that. I get it. The simple math is that it's $20 a month. Okay. Over like the kind of opportunity cost is over the next 80 years. Okay. Now, again, how kind of, going to a certain school affects your student or this or that, those are all things that we have to keep in mind as well. Right. But one of the things I say is that there are considerations on the family level that we have to figure out. There's also reasons why a student wants to go that we need to figure out how important and kind of like how valid they are, right? But choosing a school just for the dollar amount isn't necessarily always the right choice, right? There might be other things that we can do for you as well. Okay. Now, before we go into the results, I want to kind of do a little bit of a quiz. I didn't put in an extra slide. I forgot to do that, right? But this family above, right? And I'll kind of go back and kind of show you what I was able to do, right? So for UCSD, I was able to get about 11K off, right? Pepperdine, I got 934, about $51,000 off, right? And for University of San Diego, I got 929.43. I got about 60 grand off, roughly speaking. Okay. Now, my question to you is this. What do you think their income was? So you guys can put it in the chat, you can put it in the Q&A, wherever you guys are comfortable, right? What do you think this family's income was that I was able to help? Okay, I have someone in the Q&A, they said 100K. All right, I'm gonna wait for 5 answers. I need some interaction today. Okay. So how much do you think that their yearly income was? Right, that is the question. We have another family that says 200. Okay, I have another family that said 150. Had another had another kind of person say 250. Okay, so you guys will be impressed to know that you guys are all wrong. Okay. This family that I did this for, their yearly income was about $310,000. Okay. These are the results that I was able to get for them, right? So again, there is a little bit of a difference depending on the schools that you apply to, because some schools they ask for a lot more information, some schools ask for less, right? But that's why during our consultations I always tell you that there's a range, especially when it comes to the private schools, that I can save for you. The amount that I can save for you at like a UC or a CSU, it's pretty set in stone what I can do in those arenas, right? But for this family that I was able to save, 50, 60, right, $11,000 out of UC, they made $310,000. Okay. But here's some other examples of things I've been able to do, right? So like this family, they make 350. I was able to save them around 30 grand from Fordham, University of San Diego, other places, right? Again, their income's a little bit higher. Their financial aid was a little bit lower, right? This family that made over 400, I got them $42,000 a year from Baylor, right? And this family was at 230, and I was able to save them around 30 grand at a UC. Okay. So I do want to open it up for questions, right? Because I always think that questions are the best way for people to learn. There's probably a lot of people that have their own questions too, right? So go ahead, put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A so that I can answer them in the order that they are received. Okay. Now, in the meantime, while you guys are writing out your questions, I do want to make sure that we provide you with multiple different ways to sign up for a consultation with us. Okay. So the first way that you can do it is by using the link to kind of go ahead and sign up for a financial aid session, right? There's also a QR code on the page, right? Right up here on the left, right? So that's another way. You can also text us at 949-775-0865, and then our team will reach out to you to help you set up an appointment, okay? So whatever way it's easier for you. If you don't want to talk to anyone, QR code or link, right? If you want to talk to someone before, you can go ahead and text our team there. Now, if you're interested in our kind of college coaching programs, you can also reach out to us as well, right? We have the kind of essay essentials, we have the application advantage, and we have the submit strong still for our class of 2026. Okay. Now, those coaching programs are only for the class of 2026. If you have a class of 2027, 28, 29, we have other programs available for you, okay? Longer term programs. We also even have the summer boot camps available. We are selling those because, well, everyone wants them right now, right? So if you have a student that's a little bit younger, we do have options for you. Go ahead and text college to 949-775-0865. Okay, but I'm going to wait around just for some questions. I do see someone that has their hand raised. Unfortunately, you have to type your question out, right? So go ahead and type it out in the Q&A or in the chat. Okay, so I'll give people a couple minutes here. All right. I am not seeing any questions. All right. I'm gonna do last call, and then if we don't have any other questions, that's okay, right? Some days we have lots of questions, some days we don't, right? All right, we have our first question, and it is putting money in a 529 a bad deal? Well, yes, and for multiple reasons. Okay. The first reason why it's bad is because the growth rate actually sucks, right? I think the average growth rate over the course of the last 20 years has been about 3% a year, right? Your money does better in your money market account. Okay. So that's one reason why it's bad. The other reason why it's bad is because a 529 is literally a piggy bank that the colleges can reach into and grab money from. Okay. Now, a lot of parents are like probably thinking, "Oh my God, what did I do? What did I do?" There are ways to get around this, right? You can change the custodian of your account. You can change the beneficiary of your account. There's different ways to get around this problem. Okay. But generally speaking, if you don't have a 529, don't start one. Okay. We have another question here. It says, at the junior level, is it too soon to start looking at opportunities for financial aid? No, it's actually probably the best time to start looking for it because the tax year that we're going to be using is the 2025 tax year, right? Now, basically everyone that's signing up for our program right now is either 26 or 27, right? Realistically, a lot of our 26 is signed up already, so a lot more 27s are signing up right now because again, the 2025 tax year is the tax year that is important. So we should talk. This is the year to talk. The other thing I'll say is that a lot of families, they're like kind of like holding off on signing up for our program. Don't, because we're having a price increase in probably the next 30 days, right? And then the price that I offer you like last week or yesterday, it doesn't apply anymore. And unfortunately, I don't control those accounts or those links. It's all run by Coach Tony, right? So if he says the prices have changed, unfortunately, the price has changed. Okay. All right. One more time, last call for any questions. Okay. So just one more time, here are the links for the financial aid like kind of like consultation. Our consultations are always free. We never charge for them. We try to understand your situation, give you a little information about the financial aid process, and then if we can help, we'll give you some information, right, about our program. If we can't help, I'll send you on your way and be like, hey, take a look at these things. These things might be able to help you, right? But you'd be surprised at the income levels that we've worked at, right? If you make 100, we've helped. If you make two, we've helped. If you make three, four, five, six, seven, we've helped. Okay. We even help people with 7-digit incomes, right? Obviously, the amount of money I was able to get for them was not as large if your income is 100 or $200,000, but we should be able to help. Okay. When should we talk to you? We are 2029. Like I said, you should try to sign up for a consultation soon, right? Um, Again, some families think that it's okay to kind of lock in the price. I think it's smart to lock in your price because, well, 2029, that's 4 years from now. I don't know what our price is going to be, right? I mean, just last year, eggs were like I think like $12, right? For like a pack of 60, right? There's like $16 now. They've gone up 30%. So if our program goes up 30%, are you going to be happy about that you didn't lock in your price? Probably not, right? So a lot of people ask why sign up for a younger student. It's to lock in your price. There's no other reason, right? Inflation is real, right? And so if you don't want to pay more later, makes sense to pay, like kind of lock yourself in now. Okay. All right, sounds good. So I'm going to leave this up for just a second so you guys can take screenshots or get the phone number or scan the QR code. But if you guys do have any other questions, reach out on Facebook, Discord, email, whatever way it is, so that we can make sure that we answer your questions. Okay. All right. Everyone have a great night. I'll see you guys again next week. Okay. All right. Bye bye.